This is episode 4 of Outwitting the Devil on the Growth Agenda. The author of the book is Napoleon Hill. In episode 3, we saw the term drifting. And we said that drifting was the tendency to relinquish power over your own life to someone else. And in the context of the book, that is the devil. Do not forget that we are in the middle of an interview by Napoleon Hill of the devil. And now the devil is opening up about how he manages to make people suffer, how he manages to take people victim, how he manages to roll off his plans of destruction in the lives of individuals. Now, one of the things that the devil told us is by making us drift. When you drift, you eventually become a sort of permanent slave of the devil. And we are going to look at how he does it. Because it doesn't end in drifting, there's something else that he uses to make sure that he has you permanently. But let's quickly look at the attributes of the drifter so that we then delve into the next item. We are still interviewing the devil. So devil says, a drifter does not think for themselves. A drifter will take anything that life brings as something that is destined to happen, whether it is disease or poverty or ill health or whatever it is that the devil brings is what they think God has designed their lives to be. The other thing that is very common with drifters is that they will blame everybody around them for their situation. You probably are familiar with people who say, you guys have refused to help me, what do you expect me to do? Or if it were not for the poverty of my father or my mother or my parents and relatives, I would probably be in a better place. Or I have so many OGs and OBs, but none of them really passes on opportunities to me. So in the end, everything and everyone around them is guilty of causing them trouble in their lives. The only person who is not guilty is themselves. So that is a drifter for you. But that was the theme, that was the central message of episode 3. So now, episode 4, and I'll slow down so that we understand. We are still interviewing the devil. So Napoleon Hill is asking him, so what principle is this that helps you to capture so many souls across the universe? And he says, you see, after I have induced them into drifting, there's another. I utilize the law of nature to make sure that I permanently impair them and bring them over into my territory and guard against their attempt to leave. And the question then Napoleon Hill poses is, how do you do this? So the devil says, I apply the law, I make use of the law of hypnotic rhythm. And I just want to read the definition for you of hypnotic rhythm. But even before I read, I would like you to know that this is a force. It's a natural force behind seasons. Behind the fact that at a certain time of the year, it's one season, and another time of the year, it's a different season, and that is how it is. A sort of permanent setting that does not need any human intervention to be. So I read the definition of hypnotic rhythm. Hypnotic rhythm is a force that collectively takes the natural course of the earth, the moon, the stars, the galaxies, and various environments and automates their rhythms in relation to each other. It creates a sense of permanency between the timing, speed, distance, temperature, and atmosphere of all matter, seen and unseen. So you understand the fact that the sun rises and sets, that the moon comes and goes, that morning comes and goes, night comes and goes, winter comes and goes, autumn, spring come and go, rain comes and goes. The force behind those rhythms is hypnotic rhythm. But now, hypnotic rhythm does not stop at that. It actually works even in our individual lives. Not affecting things outside of us, but inside of us. And this is what happens. It takes our dominating thoughts and over time makes them permanent, and that is regardless of whether they are negative or positive. So your predominant thoughts aggregated and over time determine the quality of your life. Maybe you've heard of the law of attraction. Maybe you haven't. But it's just stating that you attract what you think. There has not been a successful person who has had negative thoughts all through their lives. And in the same way, there is no one that has positive thoughts consistently and in a razor-focused manner that turns out to have a life that is miserable. There might be some misery for a short time, but for as long as they are persistent and focused and positive, life will, whether it likes it or not, bring to them what they think, what they desire. That is the law of hypnotic rhythm. Now, earlier in the discussion we mentioned that one of the tools of the devil, as he lures us to a central place where he can then start making use of the law of hypnotic rhythm, is fear. So fear, introduction of fear into our lives, we could say, could be one of the initial stages of getting driven negatively by hypnotic rhythm. And we get into the tendency to fear as young children. We are groomed by parents, we are groomed at school, we are groomed at church to fear the devil, to fear death, to fear old age, to fear war, to fear the possibility of something. So we grow up with that sort of woundedness, expecting the negative things. And that's for most of us. A few people have been lucky, but for most of us, that's how it has been. And then this is made worse by education systems which do not teach us to think for ourselves and be creative enough so that we are able to solve the problems that we encounter as we grow up. Instead, we are given a whole heap of information that does not exactly fix the problems that we go through as we mature. That's why you get out of uni and you don't have a clue how to fix life. So that way, we are growing up into kind of automated beings that are not driving life, but are getting driven by life. And that's how we get introduced to the idea of accepting what life brings, because we have been conditioned to receive, to accept that, oh, well, that's what life is. You see, this is the degree that I did, and these are the jobs that are coming, and you see with the job, this is the salary that is coming, and you see with this kind of salary, this is the kind of life that comes. That's how hypnotic rhythm grabs us and does whatever it has to do, because it's a natural law. And then the devil takes that as the advantage and drives us to whatever direction he wishes to drive us. Okay, so in the end, we are definitely vulnerable to so many things. Deception, envy, greed, poverty, lust, vanity, anything. Because we're looking for a way to fix life, but we do not know how. So whatever idea comes to us, made by the devil most of the time, we shall follow, if only to get ourselves out of a situation that we don't feel is pleasant. for us to live in. So the devil, we are already in that situation. It's very easy for the devil to attract us into drifting. And this is what he says he does. It's how he does it. So you're already vulnerable. Your job is not that great. Your mind does not think really great, but you are not even aware probably. You're very vulnerable. You're very poor. You're so many things. You've been hurt so many times. You've been promised promises that have not come to pass. So devil uses some things to attract you to drift. And we said drifting means you have relinquished power and control over your life. Devil uses money. Many times we have seen people who have lots of money. Eventually they become, not all of them, eventually they become, the money drives them, takes them wherever it wishes them to go. That is drifting. So you can be rich, but also drift, especially morally. Power. When people get into power, it looks like the devil increases the dosage. And as he does, they become greedy. They don't want to leave. They don't want anyone else to decide. They become very insensitive to the needs of the people around them. Power can do that to you. And we no longer see the former very considerate and very reasonable person that we used to see. That's what the devil does to you when he gives you power. Sex is another tool. Some people just want sex in the morning, in the mid-morning, afternoon, evening, night. For them, life is about sex. They have lost control over themselves, and they're being driven by sex. It's a deliberate tool by the devil. The need for self-expression, the opportunity to be heard. When you get that, you might lose your ability to control yourself. So many things. Those are just examples. Yeah? But the good news is, it is possible. It is possible to loosen the grip of the devil on your soul. So now the question is, how? How do we do that? And that is the question that Napoleon Hill puts to the devil. So tell me, I want you to tell me how people can get rid of your rule. It's not that we are going to kill the devil, but you can run away from that being owned and controlled by the devil and destined to suffering. So Napoleon Hill asks the devil to tell him what people should do in order to run away from him. And of course, the devil first says, oh no, that is going to kill me, that is going to bring me such a huge loss. But because we are given power over the devil, Napoleon Hill is able to wring the confession out of the devil. And so the devil says, okay, fine, I'm going to tell you. Number one, have a very clear purpose. We spoke about this before. Have your purpose very clear. Know exactly what you want to do. Number two, master yourself. You should be able to answer the questions, who am I? Where are my strengths? Where are those weak areas? What are my passions? What am I able to do? What is it that I came to do? What is my, be able to answer questions about yourself. Self-mastery and have control over your own emotions, your own feelings, the whole idea of self-mastery. So you have a purpose and you have self-mastery, and then learn from adversity. When stuff happens to you that is not good, what do you pick up from the experience? This same book says that with every adversity comes a seed of an equivalent advantage. Look for that seed, plant it, groom it, and you will benefit from it. Control environmental influences. Those things of, oh, the economy is so bad, I think I can't therefore do this. Oh, but you see, in my area where I come from, people never really go beyond a certain level. Oh, but you see, with this weather, how can we? That kind of attitude is a killer. You seek to control the environment. You can't have it 100%, But I mean, you use your mind and control the environment around you. You don't have to think like certain people just because that is the environment. You could choose to leave the environment so that it does not intoxicate your thought process. So seek to control and not to be controlled by environmental factors. Time. Make use of time. Make use of time and know that the more time passes, the more permanent whatever thoughts, whatever habits, whatever character you are displaying or you are cooking inside of yourself will become. So use time to quickly catch up on things and change and learn and implement and move forward. And then harmony. And harmony is in this sense. If you have a definite purpose, remember that you have different facets. You have the spiritual, the physical, the social, the what. So in all those areas, have a common thread. That's the harmony that Napoleon Hill talks about. So play those areas in a harmonious way so that you don't stand to one area and grow another one, or grow at the expense of another area. And then caution. Be cautious. I mean, don't just do and then think afterwards. So think through and then execute. Those are seven ways that the devil himself reveals to Napoleon Hill of getting rid of his grip on our lives. This is the growth agenda. And we are talking about how we are going to help ourselves to grow. If you don't know what you are growing towards, then you're probably like the amoeba going all over the place. And that's a very conducive environment you are creating for the devil to come and operate in your life. So from the devil himself, we learn that if I am clear on what I'm pursuing and that I have cared to balance that purpose across the different areas of my life, and that I'm aware of the passage of time, and that I have self-mastery, and that I am learning from the pain that I'm going through, and so many, as I have mentioned them, one day at a time, I will climb the ladder of growth. And at some point, you will be there at the mountaintop and celebrate with the winners. And I want to tell you, it is very possible. It is possible. It is possible, and it doesn't matter how old you are now. For as long as you still have the breath of life and you are sane and you are able, you can do something about your life. You can pick up the pieces that broke up and put them together again and pursue a purpose and pursue a goal and work on your targets and achieve, and therefore outwit the devil. So that was episode 4. The key things that we have learned are how to get out of control of the devil. So getting out of the devil's zone. Definiteness of purpose, mastery over self, learning from adversity, controlling the environmental influences rather than letting them control you, making use of time, and working in harmony. And we said harmony means that you have your purpose running across all the facets of life so that you don't grow in one area at the expense of the other area. And then lastly, be cautious. Be cautious, knowing that sometimes you might goof, so avoid it. Avoid making errors and just implementing things very hurriedly without thinking through, because that is as good as not doing the thing anyway. It might even be worse, because it might throw you into a worse place than you were before you attempted to execute the plan anyway. So thank you so much. Hypnotic Rhythm. If you need to learn more about it, it's all over. It's all over. It's in the public domain. You can ask Mr. Google. He will tell you more. I'll see you when I return with the 5th and perhaps last episode of the book. Thank you. Let's grow together.